Welcome back to part 2 of the Rogue's Guide for the class skill tree. We're going to continue here adding THRASH to our UI. THRASH deals 80% physical damage to your target. This ability can be activated up to 2 times in a short time frame for increased damage. However, you must activate another ability before it can be recast. The third and final strike will apply bleeding to the target and grant advantage to yourself. THRASH does not interrupt your weapon combos. And here is the effects for bleeding and advantage, which is suffering 15% bleed damage every second, which lasts 6 seconds. So I like to pair THRASH on my UI here with Shift R, because it's really nice to have Feint and THRASH side by side, because you can get these off relatively quickly in combo with Stab if you have to get a 3-hit combo off. Now that we found a target, a combo I love to use is opening with THRASH into Feint into Backstab, because this will allow you to cast THRASH again because there's another ability casted after it, but also allow Feint and Stab to combo off each other. Kind of looks like this. And you see that THRASH reset. Once again, cool combo. Shift R for THRASH, Feint into Backstab. Or it can bug out. See, you're trying to use THRASH in quick succession with another ability, so that it goes on cooldown instantly. The next ability is more of a buff, not so much a cast. It's called TROUNCE. After you consume advantage, gain TROUNCE. Your next flurry or THRASH will strike all targets in melee range. This lasts 10 seconds. This is really good for cleaving in PvE and wave clear. I found it very hard to get this pulled off in timing in PvP. It's essentially a buff that when it's on, you have advantage. Using THRASH in the combos or using flurry in that rapid 3-hit succession can get you cleave damage. It'll look like this. So I have 2 charges of advantage. Here's mobs in here. I have to consume advantage once. So perhaps I do trip. And then see how this is lit up? THRASH is lit up, and then flurry is lit up. That tells me I can use the passive ability of Trounce in that moment to get a cleave off. It's kind of hard to tell that that buff is up. It's more just happens in the background as you play the game. To the next one, Soothing Shadows is really good for resetting at lower levels, but also just gaining health in between fights. So see, I'm going to take some damage from this Wandering Bone Slave. I may be healing more than I am taking damage. What we're going to look for is to take a little chip damage, and then because we have Soothing Shadows, I'll heal for 1% of my max health per tick, ramping up to 5% at critically low health. Pretty good sustain. So here we took some damage. I'm going to dash away, ends pop stealth. And here we're taking plus 38 health per second. Plus 37, plus 37. If you like seeing those healing numbers in a little bit larger of a frame, I recommend going to Escape, Options, Gameplay, and then Combat. Here you'll see some stats where you can change the font size as well as the style or like colors of what you see on your screen. Really customizable. So we received healing, and then you want to see it maybe extra large. If I take some damage and then pop that ability again, which is Soothing Shadows. Now that we've taken some damage, These numbers are a little bit bigger each time because we've increased that setting. A little bit easier in like the heat of the moment to like look at what's on screen. Moving on to the ability above Soothing Shadows, it's called Foreshadowing. Attacking out of stealth grants Guile. What Guile is, if you hit Advanced Information, you'll see that evasion is increased by 20%. On your next weapon combo finisher, gain advantage. This lasts 7 seconds. Now, this is a really good ability because you can cycle it with your smoke bomb or whenever you're out of combat to increase the amount of time that you have on stealth for your evasion window. What that looks like is, because we are in stealth and I pop out of it, you have Guile right here at the bottom left of the screen. We're going to let stealth go off cooldown. Exit stealth, or if you get hit, right there, Guile. Assume that we got hit by the wolf. Ouchie. The wolf bites us. Well, here we have Guile. And now we have a little bit more evasion. If I dash again, sometimes you can have stacking evasion. If we use feint, we also get Guile. So if I use R, I have Guile here. Or if I stealth, exit stealth again. Guile. Lots of evasion. Keep that up. Really easy to cycle the rotation in your abilities. It'll be easier to use Guile and Foreshadowing more often once we apply Smoke Bomb cycling with expanded toolset or padded tool belt. The next ability I'd like to go over is SHADOWSTEP. SHADOWSTEP teleports behind your target. If used on an enemy that is more than 15 meters away, you'll gain advantage. This is extremely good to use in moments when you have feint up. And if you are speccing into Agile, you're able to get this extra advantage proc pretty often. It's also really good to reposition. And then I have some really cool tech that I want to show you with a friendly player. I bind SHADOWSTEP to something that's really easily accessible. For my case, this is Caps Lock. So here I look at an enemy, in this case a Slate Wolf, and then when I'm in range of SHADOWSTEP, it'll highlight and say that you can use advantage. If you're closer and you SHADOWSTEP, you're not going to get the advantage. See how this enemy came close and then it is not highlighting anymore under SHADOWSTEP? So here I have an enemy chasing me. I have SHADOWSTEP up. It's not highlighted, so that means if I SHADOWSTEP it, I will not gain advantage because I am not more than 15 meters away. If I trip this enemy and then dash away, you'll see that it lights up because I'm more than 15 meters away. And if I use it, I gain advantage, but I think I just spent it so fast in an auto attack. The important part is using SHADOWSTEP when you're more than 15 meters away. Some really cool tech that I find highly underrated in PvP and PvE is you're able to SHADOWSTEP friendly players. So you could bind your different keybinds of mouse or F1 function keys to target your tank, target your healer, target your bards, and then SHADOWSTEP to them safely. And it's a 25 meter range. So 15 meter range is for combat gaining advantage. For example, say this Phoenix Sentinel was my clerics or bards and I'm fighting in ZVZ down this choke point right here. If I'm too far extended and I need to get out and these players are like chasing me and these are like my clerics, I can get within range and then SHADOWSTEP to my clerics and teammate much quicker. I find this to be super useful in many PvP scenarios. So I wanted to put it all together really quick and just show taking space on a rogue is extremely easy. If you're confident in your toolkit with some cooldown management. Being able to use your dashes with 110 stamina, and eventually you're going to get 50 more stamina from adrenaline. You can close gaps extremely fast with and without, say, grappling hook in your toolkit. But we will get to that later. So say I just wanted to dash here to here to here. Now I'm basically within range of my clerics that I can basically safely SHADOWSTEP to. All without using any of the later game tools for like gap closure. So I find this SHADOWSTEP to be highly useful because you can essentially move in any direction depending on who's around you. Say I want to SHADOWSTEP on this player right here. Boom. Easy. You can get crafty with SHADOWSTEP and use mouse over to SHADOWSTEP players. Moving on to our next ability is going to be called ETHEREAL or ETHEREAL, however you would like to say it. SHADOWSTEP can be used while disabled and will break out of all disabling effects. Very powerful in PvE, very powerful in PvP. You can turn this one on and off depending on your playstyle and what the content is that you are doing. Very self-explanatory. The next ability I'd like to go over is called Sleep Dart. Sleep Dart shoots a sleep dart at target enemies that applies incapacitated. Incapacitated means they cannot move or act. This effect breaks on damage taken. Now, this ability is extremely good in PvE and PvP because it allows players to shift the momentum of the fight in a huge favor for the rogue. Now, Sleep Dart has to have a minimum range of 8 meters in order to be used from the enemy. What that looks like is this. You can be out of stealth while it's used. And here, incapacitated. Cannot act or move. This effect breaks on damage taken. In that time, you are free to do whatever. To the player, to the enemy. It is a 25-second cooldown. Eventually, you will have 2 charges because of the expanded tool belt. Or, it can be used in stealth from, say, padded tool belt. But we'll get to that later in the video. Once again, you can sleep dart from stealth or out of stealth. This time we'll do it in stealth. But you have to be more than 8 meters. It will take the rogue out of stealth. Here from our previous section, you see that we have SHADOWSTEP to gain advantage is highlighted. So here we have 1 advantage, it's half filled. If I get further out, away from this, I now SHADOWSTEP it. I don't know why it doesn't give me that. Thought I was. Maybe it's buggy. But I have 1 advantage. I can kick it and get away. I can re-stealth. And then if I want to, I can incapacitate or sleep dart it before it gets a chance to react in PvP or PvE. And then it's up to the rogue to decide what the combos are that you want to do. Now this is a key section for the rogue, for we have 4 options of our active skill slot. You'll see that there's a square here that leads up to a further square, which means eventually we'll be able to use 2 different poisons on our UI depending on the scenario that we're in. For now, we're just going to activate the first one, which is Chilling Poison. Gain Chilling Poison, which your damaging abilities and 3 specific hits in each weapon combo will apply chilled for 1.5 seconds. Each hit also applies poison. Only one type of poison can be applied to your weapon at a time. This lasts 10 seconds. Once again, this is important. Only one type of poison can be applied to your weapons at a time. By hitting the advanced information, we see that chilled means movement speed is reduced by 50%. It lasts about 6 seconds, depending on your buffs. Duration can be extended up to 15 seconds by subsequent applications. Poisoned means it deals 4% necrotic damage per stack every 2 seconds. Lasts 20 seconds. This stacks up to 10 times. Damage does not waken incapacitated targets. Very important, because this will lead into a new combo with Sleep Dart. So chilled poison, we can select and confirm, and it will highlight right here. You then can click and drag this to your hotbar. I like to have my poison on T. You can either click it or use your keybind, and then you'll now see that chilling poison is applied. It lasts for 10 seconds before it will fall off. So there, it just ran out, and now we have the cooldown. What's really cool that I love the developers for doing is each poison actually has a visual effect in the game that will splatter around the world as you apply it. So here we have chilling. You can see there's like little blue splecks, you know, blue splotches. Once we apply chilling poison, it can basically be used in conjunction with your kit. It can be applied via throw, or your dagger combos, or your range combos from your weapon. So here I want to apply chilled and pull a wolf or a grem with my bow and apply chilled or chilling poison so that it's slower before it gets to me. You see the word that came chilled up, and it's also chilled on the far right. There it is again, chilled. Movement speed reduced by 50%, lasts 6 seconds while being poisoned. And the bleed that you see on there is being applied from this weapon skill tree right here, bleed. 25% chance to activate a deadly finisher that applies bleeding to targets. If you don't want bleed, you can change it to being snared, depending on which weapon you have. Every weapon's different. Go through these as well, but we will go through it together later in the video. The next ability for our active slot is Draining Poison. Gain Draining Poison. Your damaging abilities and weapon combos hits drain mana from your targets, granting it to you, equal to 40% of the damage dealt. Mana gained is diminished for each target hit beyond the first. Each hit also applies poison. Only one type of poison can be applied to your weapons at a time. Lasts 10 seconds. Now, Draining Poison is great in PvE and PvP, likewise with Chilling Poison. I would prioritize Draining Poison over Chilling Poison in general use, because I find that mobs will still catch up with Chilling Poison, but maybe you have some builds that you want to incorporate the slow, perhaps with like Smoke Bomb, with the Shiver Vapor, or the Death Mark's Cold Embrace, which we can probably go over later in the video. But Draining Poison is great for 1v1ing players because it saps their mana. And also if you're playing solo, or if you have no bards in your group, this is great for maintaining your mana in order to play longer. So you're not using rations or like mana kits and salves. What this looks like is the same way. If you run out of mana, I'm going to be full mana, but you would apply it. And this one's just poison, but you see I'm getting plus blue numbers. Plus 68, plus 36, 48, 78, 126, 61. That's how much mana I'm getting back because I'm using Draining Poison. The third poison is called Withering Poison. Your damaging abilities and 3 specific hits in each weapon combo will apply weakened and dazed for 1.5 seconds. Each hit also applies poison. Only one type of poison can be applied to your weapons at a time. Lasts 10 seconds. Weakened and dazed means the magical casting speed of your opponent is reduced by 25% for 8 seconds. Duration can be extended up to 20 seconds by subsequent applications. This is great in PvE and PvP on all opponents and bosses and NPCs and everything. It's a great poison to use. So we can see that we swing our weapons. There's nothing on there. We apply our poisons. There's now green poison on the ground. Likewise, if we attack an enemy, they will be weakened and dazed after 3 hits. So perhaps using daggers and fast comboing abilities of a short bow to apply the first few hits is important versus, say, a two-hander or longbow or mace or other weapons that have slower attack speed. This is what Withering Poison looks like when it's applied. Weakened and dazed and poisoned. Restyle. Now, the poison can also be applied from your throw. So imagine this in ZVZ, guild versus guild, or small scale PvP, where you can apply poisons, throw, and now they're weakened, dazed, bleeding, and poisoned. All from a throw and a couple hits. Run away. Hold that one more time. So here we'll apply poisons. Or maybe we can incapacitate it. We'll apply poisons. Hit 4. Dash in. Do little combos. Shift 3, Shift R. And stealth away. So eventually the fluidity to the combos becomes intuitive the more the toolkit is unlocked. And it's really cool to cycle between the poisons as you get more. Moving on to the next poison is called Wounding Poison. Gain Wounding Poison. Your damaging abilities and 3 specific hits in each weapon combo have a 50% chance to apply Wounded. Each hit also applies poisoned. Only one type of poison can be applied to your weapons at a time. Lasts 10 seconds. Wounding reduces healing received by 5% per stack, up to a maximum of 50% at 10 stacks. It lasts 15 seconds. Poisoned also deals necrotic damage 4% per stack every 2 seconds, lasts 20 seconds. Stacks up to 10 times, damages, does not wake incapacitated targets. Very important to know for later combos. Incapacitated means cannot move or act. This effect breaks on damage taken. Wounding Poison. Kind of a reddish blood red. So Wounding Poison will stack up over time, starting at 5% per hit. Here we'll apply Wounding Poison to our bow. And also, it's always... the poisons are applied to both weapons at all times, by the way. So you can switch freely between dagger and your secondary weapon, or whatever you... main hand and offhand, freely with your weapon. Don't worry about which one you're using. So there it is, Wounded. And right here, the wound stack. Reduces healing received by 5% per stack. And it will increase the more that it's hit. So once again, fast attack weapons reign supreme for applying the poison. But say if you want to be crit build, perhaps applying poisons isn't necessary and you can go into other combos such as maybe Ruthlessness or these other frost abilities where poison application may or may not be necessary in the build. You can get crafty with it. So, now that we have all of our poisons learned, let's figure out what this arrow means and why there's two options for poisons. Well, that's exactly what it is. You can have two options for poisons, but you must understand you can only have one poison on at a time. So say we want to use Withering Poison plus Wounding Poison. You got to figure out some combos between throw or just meleeing and switching between the two. So here I want to first maybe apply Withering Poison with Shift T. It's weakened in daze. But because it's on cooldown, it's a little difficult to use until we get Expanded Toolkit, which I'm just going to use for example is using it here. So this allows me to use my kit twice. So now I have another charge of poison. One second, let me get out of this range right here. So we're jumping the gun a little bit here, but this will allow me to have two uses of poison, as well as two uses of my throw. And why this is so cool with poisons is that you can apply one and apply another right, like back to back. Next, I'd like to showcase an extension of the poisons, which leads into sap. It's a 20-second cooldown. You will stab your target with a draining dagger that deals 50% physical damage and consumes up to 10 stacks of poison to apply sap. Sap deals 8% necrotic damage every 1.5 seconds for each consumed stack of poison and heals the rogue the same amount. Lasts 8 seconds. If the target has 10 stacks of poison upon activation, gain advantage. Now this is another advantage gaining ability, but it's more or less sustain in solo play as well as in group ZVZ in case Soothing Shadows does not do enough healing per second. Sap is really good for self-sustain, and when it's ready to be used and you have 10 stacks, you will have a highlight on your UI. In this case, I have mine on 5, and it will be a glowing border when you have 10 stacks. So here I'm going to go piss off this Rumbling Rock, or maybe this Glimmering Geode. Beautiful names. And I'm going to apply poisons, and just keep auto-attacking it, or spamming my flurry, to build up poison stacks faster. Here it goes. So poison, and we're meleeing it. We're going to flurry, flurry, flurry. 7 stacks, 8 stacks, 9 stacks, 10 stacks. So now that I have 10 stacks of sap, I can use sap. It's glowing blue, ready to use. Boom, sap is on there. Deal 8% necrotic damage every 1.5 seconds for each consumed stack of poison, and heals the rogue the same amount. Here is another example. In the first case, we use Withering Poison. In this one, we're going to use Chilling Poison, because it will work with pretty much any poison. Now I'm going to apply Chilling Poison again, build stacks, this time with my... let's use an energy spellbook with strength and high crit power. So here I'm using my book to apply my poison stacks from afar on this geode. I have 2 stacks on it, 3 stacks. It's a little bit slower. 4 stacks, 5 stacks, 6 stacks, 7 stacks, 8 stacks, 9 stacks, 10 stacks. Now we have sap up on this geode. If I press 5 and I kite, it's on there. I don't want to die, but I'm healing right here. 171, 171, 171, 171. And that's from sap, which can help you sustain in tougher fights. And just note, when you do have the 10 stacks of poison, upon activation, you will gain advantage, which leads into more combos. Sap. Next, I'd like to showcase Double Strike. It's a 20-second cooldown. Strike again with the last used ability from this list. Stab, Lacerate, or Thump. The icon, before you use any abilities, will stay as this dagger with some glowing orbs around it. That's the Double Strike icon. I place it next to where I have Stab because it allows me to either use back-to-back stabs into a feint combo with Thrash, but also it's close enough if I want to Lacerate, I can do Lacerate, or if I use Thump, the icon will change to Thump. These look like this. So at first, I want to use Stab on this Rumbling Rock so that I have 2 stabs available. I'm going to stab it once. And then in the bottom left corner, the Double Strike icon became Backstab, or Stab if I'm in front of it. If I use Lacerate, the icon of Double Strike now becomes Lacerate. If I use Thump when it's casting, Double Strike becomes Thump. So you can rotate these depending on the situation that you need. And you can do like back-to-back stabs if you wanted to. But once it goes off cooldown, it goes on the 20-second cooldown. So just be very careful of accidentally spamming this twice when you may have wanted to use Thump instead of, say, Stab or Lacerate and so forth. So just be aware what Double Strike becomes when you're using your combos so that you can use it for the best case scenario when it's up. Double Strike will lead into some really cool combos with Backstab when you have Devious unlocked, as well as Ruthlessness unlocked, which you'll see in the final video of the skill tree. In short, Ruthlessness, Stab, and Lacerate have no cooldown when used with 2 stacks of advantage. Very powerful. Now, the final ability in this midsection is called ANEMIA, or ANEMIA. If the target of your sleep dart is bleeding, the duration of the applied incapacitated will be extended by 5 seconds, and the bleeds will be removed. So, really important, we also know that our poisons don't break into incapacitated targets. Even though this tooltip right here, on poisons, don't say anything about poison, which is really nice because they can basically bleed and get poisoned, but they're still like slept. So here, I apply poison. So right, it's poisoned, and it's incapped. But it's still poisoned, so it's taking tick damage while sleeping. Pretty cool. Reset. Let's reapply poisons. So I have 6 seconds on my sleep dart. Now here's the buffed version. So we are going to make it bleed with this ability. Oops. 4, bleeding, right? And back away. Oop. And sleep dart. So it's an extended version. This one lasts a really long time. Sleepy Wolf. Even dance in front of it. It lasts forever. And then bop it on the head. So you can get really crafty with your combos in PvP. Glad you all made it through this section right here. We have now covered the first section, the second section, and now join me in the final tier of class abilities for the Rogue.